All right, so I know I've been hearing the buzzes in the room. Y'all been waiting for this next person to hit the stage. The brand is AMD Visuals. So I need y'all to make some noise right now for Ari.
How I would describe my style is I really lean towards the film look. Also very static, like very still. I try to let the composition speak for itself a lot. Colors and all that, and I want to keep experimenting and pushing that. You gotta go with your intuition. Things pop up, and if they feel right, they feel right. You can't like second guess that. You gotta find people that wanna like do similar things and continue to work with them and go out and create, and the other things will follow. And I also want to say thank you, Cam, man. Like, this is a full circle moment for me. Like, you gave me an opportunity that I'm forever thankful for. So thank you for having me here.
I love, and you took that opportunity and made something happen. So for sure, let's give it up for Ari one time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, welcome. I mean,
you.
you're no stranger to Cam Kirk Studios.
No.
You are actually, your story within these walls is actually something. How many of y'all know Ari's story? There's not enough people in here that know it, so I want you to tell it because I would go through your Rolodex. I know you started at 11, but the way that you met Cam is something that I don't want to go missed because we all have this, like, Cam is a touch point for so many of us, so please.
Yeah, so I came to Atlanta. Okay, so I'm from Miami originally. Yeah, and I came to Atlanta on a like family vacation, just visiting. And I'd already known about Cam Kirk and his work. I was a big fan of his work. And he had posted on his story that he needed help moving stuff around the office. I think they had just opened or they were just getting started. So I showed up. I had just landed here with my family. I was like, I gotta go do this. So I showed up, introduced myself, said like, what can I offer? What can I help do? So like, I chilled here at the office. I think it was not even in here. It was like next door.
Yeah, it was before all of this was even a thing.
Yeah. So, I got to meet Cam that day. And then a couple months later, or like a year later, I was still in Miami. And I really wanted to come over here because something was like, I always like was attracted to Cam Kirk Studios, like this thing. It was just like always something in my head that I wanted to be part of. So then my girlfriend and I, she wanted to move out here for school. So she was like, let's move to Atlanta. So I was like, let's do it.
Something about these girlfriends. Y'all heard about it.
Yeah,
This is the
shout out her.
second time.
Yeah, shout out her. She's over there. Shout out Anaya.
It was you?
Yeah.
I knew I liked
She's the reason
you.
why I'm here. So we moved out here in 2019, and the first thing I did was email Cam Kirk Studios for an internship because I saw that they were doing interns. Like the next day they reached back to me immediately. And I think it was like the second day of me moving here, and I came to do the interview, did an interview with Keenan and Marley, and they were like, yeah, like let's do it. Like you're part of the internship after that. So I remember like that's why it's like a big moment to be back here like speaking to y'all because I remember like walking out and being like so excited like. I'm gonna be an intern, so I get to be around this community. I get to see cause like I didn't know anybody here. I just knew my girlfriend and that's it. So I wanted to build a community out here, and this is like the perfect place for that. It's just after that, like it was like 10, 15 interns here, and it was just beautiful because like we all were creatives. We all like got along with each other, and it was like just a perfect network hub. And I got to like. All the interns would deal with the clients that were coming in and out. So I got to meet a lot of people, say hi, exchange contacts, Instagrams, all those things like constantly, like just every day, like whenever we were working here. And then like Cam started getting me to do content for them. And, so it was just like a year of just like learning, networking, being around the Atlanta creative scene. And that's why Cam Kirk Studios is so important because he created a community, where we could all get together.
Yeah, it's definitely a safe space for creatives.
Yeah.
To just be.
Yeah.
It's okay. I heard somebody almost clapped their hands, but they stopped because you kept going. So if you want to clap, clap. Lord.
Thank you. So I guess the story doesn't end there. So I started doing that for a year out here, and then I met cool, awesome people, everybody in Cam Kirk Studios was awesome. But I met Lil Coach, which is an amazing photographer, and he had a shoot with Lil Yachty, and he invited me to do behind the scenes for him. So I did that, and I got to meet Yachty that day, and we exchanged like few words, like, hey, nice to meet you, and then I just got to work, kind of like I'm very a fly on the wall when I'm working, just
But
capturing.
you went in the room and went.
No, yeah. It was an awesome moment. I was excited for that project. It was like a 60-second clip behind the scenes for him and the Bape collection he had. So I did that, and then like a couple months later, like it wasn't even like right there, like a couple months later, Lil Coach calls me and he's like, yo, I was just with Yachty and he needs a everyday videographer, and your name popped up, and like he really wants to meet up with you. So I was like, yeah, like most definitely. So we met up like a week after, and that was the end of 2019. So I got here in the beginning of 2019. By December, that's when I started working with Yachty. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. When you come into spaces and you're just in the space, and it's not even like you necessarily prepared for what could happen if this person comes through. It's just you being here. It's amazing what happens when people just interact with your natural personality. So yeah. I think that that's really cool. If you had to create a Mount Rushmore of your homies who are shooting, doing dope things, because I'm an advocate for the underdog.
Yeah.
I really like to see what we are doing on the ground level, the ones that keep their ear to the streets. Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore? Who should we be on the lookout for?
As of right now?
You can put yourself on there, yep.
Well, I would say everybody that I met here at Cam Kirk Studios. There's amazing creatives, Ryder, B Media, Surdy, Prime.
Keenan is waiting on you to mention him.
Keenan. Keenan.
It was the stance, I'm sorry.
Maddie, like it's just like everybody from here was just, we were all like in it, and we were all trying to like create things every day. It was fun. It was new. I was also like my first time being away from home. So like, just like that feeling of like the unknown and the question mark was like really cool.
Do you remember the conversation that you had with your family about your chosen family? Do you remember that?
Like when? Like
meaning once you had the interview with Keenan and Marley and
oh yeah.
What you're doing here. I think it's a lot for our parents to understand that we're doing what we like and what we love, and it's not traditional. And we kind of talked about that earlier, but what was it like explaining to them that I found a community here and I'm good?
Yeah, like before I even came out here, I told my mom like, I want to go to Atlanta. She's like, why? Like, why can't you just do that here? Like, what do you? I'm like, yeah, but mom, I want to see what I could do in Atlanta. I want to see I feel like it was a feeling. It was like a big feeling, like for like a good several years. Like I even before we came out here, like I remember seeing Cam, Keenan, and Marley in Miami. Like after I had came out here, and then when I went back to Miami, and then I just randomly like me and I were like walking around, and they were there, and I just kept thinking like, there's a reason for this, I gotta keep like seeing what that is. So then with my parents, yeah, like I told her that I was coming out here, and she's like, okay. And my dad, they believe in me a lot, always from the beginning. So they didn't have no doubt. They were just like, sad about it that I'm leaving home and stuff. But yeah, but they were excited.
I think you mentioned something a second ago just about like you felt a pull and you felt yourself being called to go elsewhere. How has saying, show me one more time or tell me again that I need to be here, like you've heard it for years, you needed to be here in Atlanta. From that one, yes, how has that shifted how you answer callings now? Oh,
yeah, like you gotta go with your intuition. Like there's just, this whole past 4 years have been just like things pop up, and if they feel right, they feel right. You can't like second guess that. And if they feel wrong for a reason. So I'm still learning to like tune into that, but like everybody should tune into that. Everybody has it. Everybody knows that feeling. Like, yeah.
And I really want you to lean into that question more on the business side, because it's one thing to get called by, let's just say, I don't know, Lil Yachty, but it's another thing to get called by one of the homies, or you can get called by a celebrity and you think that it's good business. Mm-hmm. And I'm not putting this on Yachty, so let's just go on record that this is not Yachty related. Mm-hmm. But it is, we get these big calls and we're quicker to answer those than we are to answer the ones for the homies. So can you just lean into that just a little bit more?
Yeah, no, I think like it shouldn't just be about who's like the bigger name or not. Like it's really working with your peers. Like that's when you get to practice your craft the most. That's when you get to excel the most. Like there's no pressure, especially in that level too. Like it's less pressure at least. I think that's like when creatives flourish like a lot. When they're working with their friends, when they're passion projects, and I don't know if that's answering your question, but yeah, like that's so important. Like it's not just about the names, and those things like come along as you go and you keep perfecting your craft. And like I tell everybody, like you gotta find people that want to like do similar things and continue to work with them and go out and create and create and create and create, and the other things will follow. Yeah.
So as you're creating, do you have a home base for like reference point when it comes to videos and visuals? And now visualizers are becoming a thing even more. Do you have a video that you reference that you pull creativity from?
Like one video?
Like one or two, one through three? I don't know. You might have a playlist.
That's a good question.
Or do you have a channel on YouTube in which we can, tap through and get your, inspiration pulled from you?
I think like the most inspiration that I get from it's like I try to like follow a lot of directors and creative art directors, and like I think like my social media, I want it to be like a place for me to like consume art constantly and not just random things that don't really align with me. So I would say like YouTube and all that. Like YouTube, that's where I learned what I do. I learned from this guy named Freddie W. and this group Corridor Digital. They were like these YouTubers that do like action videos, and like I was so fascinated by that. Like that's what made me like, how do I do that? And that's when I picked up the camera and called some friends and like, let's go figure out how to do this because this looks fun and cool. So that's like when I started, and that's like I was 12 years old. Yeah.
So the idea that people had of you prior to you really getting engulfed and becoming AMD Visuals, did it take a lot of convincing, or did people just adopt who you are?
I don't know. That's like I haven't thought of that really. I think it was I think it was very organic. Like I try to be a good person, and I try to surround myself by good people as much as I can. So I think they were accepting. Do you mean like just everybody like around? Yeah, I don't know how to really answer that question actually, but
I think about who I was growing up,
yeah,
and how so many people didn't think that this would be the life that I chose because I wasn't the one that was always talking. I might have been talking to who I was cool with, but I wasn't the first one to present a project, or I wasn't like, oh, pick me, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm still not a pick me. Let me be freaking clear here. But to that same breath, to have a conversation like this as openly as we're able to have it, did people expect you?
No, honestly, like this, like speaking like in front of people and stuff, like it's new stuff for me too. Like I'm behind the camera, so it's new for me to be in front of all you guys and talking and stuff. It's definitely like nerve-wracking too for me. So
but let me just tell you, you say a lot with what you shoot.
Yeah.
So we might not see you often, but we hear you based off of what your eyes are telling us, because you have a way of captivating a room. Like if we're all sitting here right now, how you capture it will be different from how I capture it. Not even just in your style of shooting, but just in what you decide to focus on. So a question from the audience is, do you feel like you found your visual style? And if you did, what steps did it take for you to accomplish that?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely closer than ever to finding I don't think that ever ends, I think that's constantly just evolving. But I definitely feel like I've found my palette and like what I like and how I shoot it and what like the type of style of shooting. And so I do feel like I have a style that I've found. How did I find it? Just experimenting, like a lot of experimenting, a lot of doing. It was not like a thing that I was thinking about really. It's just kind of developed on its own. And I think that's like with everything. You just got to keep doing it and taking a little bit of this and taking a little bit of that and then like finding what's true to you and making that your own,
Now I want to rock your boat just a little bit. Can we rock the boat?
Let's rock
respectfully.
The boat.
Just a little bit. So you feel like it's an ever-changing journey of trying to figure out what the style is for where you are right now. But if you had to give your style right now a language, what language would it speak?
A language. I don't know. I'm gonna say Spanish because I'm Hispanic.
Is it the Spanish that we learned in high school, or is it?
I don't know. I don't know what language, but how I would describe my style is very. Even though I haven't shot with film, I've really leaned towards the film look. I love textures. I love the color that film gets from the sensor. Like, that's what, even though I film digitally, which I can't wait to shoot film, like, I really do want to do that this year. But I think that's, like, the best way I could explain my style. It's very, also very static, like, very still. I try to let the composition speak for itself a lot. And the way I see, like, videos, it's like, if you're filming something, I think if you pause it, I think every frame should be like a picture, like should be like an art piece, should speak enough. So make sure like everything is whether it's the lines of, it's just compositions, colors, and all that. And I want to keep experimenting and pushing that.
Good answer. What are you afraid of when it comes to film specifically and what you're shooting? What scares you? You feel like you're shooting something and you're getting close to almost an edge. What makes you retract?
Doubt scares me. I've been learning to be more confident with my work this year more than ever. I feel like doubt, for all of us, we all have doubt, and that scares me. That scares me that will push me back. But whenever I have doubt, I try to I gotta jump. I gotta do it, because every single thing that's like important and bigger and it's scary. It's scary. So opportunities scare me, I guess. I don't know, but you just gotta go. You gotta do it.
There's something about signing your name on a contract that freaks me out every single time. That, yes, I read through this, but somebody may interpret this one sentence a little bit differently than how I interpreted it, because I said what I said. And this said what it said, but you think it said something different. So I totally understand that. A question from the audience is, how do you separate yourself from videographers as the craft becomes more popular? We all have platforms. We all have phones. Some people have cameras. But how are you separating yourself from the rest? Or how are you blocking out the noise?
I think I try to like hone down on like my style that I found. I try to hone down on that and really not copy anybody, and that you could still pull inspiration and stuff. But I think it's like constantly like using different tools, because like with filming, it's all about the factors of that you use. Like, let's say it's the lens, it's the movement, or like the colors that are in the frame. So like whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to keep it fresh and new and just and fun. I don't know, like things that I like. I think that's how I'm gonna keep doing and finding like my own voice, like just doing things that I like. If I end up like filming it, I usually go home and edit it immediately, because I can't, like, it's like an itch for me.
You are good.
It's an itch. Like I get home and I'll stay up all night just editing, because like I need to know, like, okay, we got it, and then like once I'm in it, I'm like, oh. So I think just, yeah, if I like it, if I'm happy with it, then I think that's my answer. Yeah.
And have you come across an artist or a creative who doesn't quite match the style in which you shoot in, that's made you question the opportunity in itself? Or have you just taken it on and allowed them to see themselves in the way that you shoot?
Yeah, I mean, I think regardless, like if you're already in it, you're in it. You gotta see it through. That's with everything.
Basically, you came to me for a reason.
Yeah.
Heard.
Yeah, but if I'm not, I wouldn't do work with anybody that like doesn't speak like truth to what I do already. Like we need to align somehow. Yeah. But that doesn't mean like I want to still keep trying new things, and so that doesn't mean like it's like you got to look at my work and be like, oh, I don't fit in that. Like no, like I wanna work with different genres. I wanna do all that. So yeah.
So what's next? 2024, we're just getting kicked off. What can we expect from you? What's on the horizon? What wouldn't we expect from you that you're about to do?
I can't speak on it much, but I want to.
Huh? It's Beyonce. I knew it.
But I
Renaissance
d-
cartoon.
I want to push my creativity. I feel like that's something that I want to focus on this year, like pushing the creativity, pushing my director's hat. You know, I do a lot of work with my hands on the camera, and I love that. I do, but I wanna keep putting my director's hat on and bigger crews and bigger ideas. So just more execution of those ideas, and yeah, that's what 2024 is looking like.
Well, we can't wait to see it. Y'all make some noise for Ari.
Thank you guys.
What, you got a question? Oh, sorry. We make exceptions.
Please
Sorry.
make an exception.
Go ahead, Cam.
This on? This on? Y'all can hear me? I gotta hijack this, man, because I gotta ask you a few questions.
Let's do it.
One, just appreciate you being here as always, and your time and energy. But what I'm most inspired about your story is there are not a lot of people that have the ability to, one, make an impression on an artist, but also grow within working with an artist. Mm-hmm. Like if you guys know my story, if you look through that hallway, you look through some of these famous photos, you notice a trend. It's usually at the beginning of their career. Mm. And then as they grow, things separate.
Right.
I want to ask you a two-part question, and I wanted to be honest. I know I have this conversation with a lot of young photographers where it's like, man, they let me come to the studio, but I don't get the shoot. You know what I mean? I don't get the photo shoot. And I've seen you obviously go from a BTS with Yachty here at this studio to now directing Recipe, probably his biggest song with J. Cole.
Yeah.
Talk to me and them about, one, how'd you deal with those early moments when you kind of were on the sideline shooting BTS for something you knew you could have done or you wish you had that opportunity? How'd you deal with that? And then number two, the second part, how did you work your way to gain his trust and respect to say, this big music video, Ari's gonna do it?
Yeah. I think first off, like, behind the scenes, that's actually, okay, yeah, because I did do a lot of behind the scenes. I think it's like, it's such a cheat code. Like, you want to do, like for me, for example, I want to be a director and stuff like that. I need to put myself in those scenarios and see how these other professionals are working. So me offering behind the scenes is like the perfect front row seat to see how this happens. So I think using that, like, to learn that position and all the positions, because to be a director, you need to know all the positions of a crew and how it goes down. So, like, I think finding what you have to offer and how to put yourself in that room, whether how big or small of a position, like, that's the most important thing, because you wanna see how these things happen. So then eventually, you can do it. And then keeping up what was the second question? Keeping up.
Second part is, like, we know they might trust you to do some small stuff, right? Like, you can come around me with your camera.
Yeah.
But then we know when the budgets come and, the big opportunities come, oftentimes, and I know there are a lot of photographers in the room that are like, man, y'all shoot this artist all the time, but I'll never get that shoot with the artist. When somebody else comes, they get overlooked. Or even any other industry. You might style them for something small. You might produce a song, one of their small songs, but the big song is always done by somebody else.
Yeah.
You've obviously worked your way up to go from BTS to directing some big videos. So just how did you get his trust to go from a BTS to the big video?
I think a couple things. Like, I think one of the most important things is character. Like, nobody wants to work with somebody who has bad character. So I think being a good person and being honest and showing up and going the extra mile does a lot. So, and also not being upset that you're not at that place that you want to be yet. Like, understand where you are and do the best that you can and show up over and over and over and do it again, and over time build a relationship. Like, the relationship with me and Yachty, I mean, it's been amazing, because not only has he been growing as an artist, like, I've been able to grow alongside him and seeing him, like, trust me in all these things, like, whether, because I do, like, all these content, it's like content pieces, it's music videos, it's just being that person. And, like, I would suggest to any artist trying to come up, it's like, that get a cameraman, because that is so important for their career. But that's sidetracking. But yeah, I don't know if I answered the question or not.
You
but
did.
yeah,
That's the part. That's the part.
Yeah.
Is being ready for your moment.
Yeah, being ready for your moment. Yeah.
No, I love that. Appreciate that, brother.
And I also want to say thank you, Cam, man. Like I, this is a full circle moment for me. Like I really, you gave me an opportunity that I'm forever thankful for. So thank you for having me here.
I love, and you took that opportunity and made something happen. So for sure, let's give it up for Ari one time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Hemi Turner, everybody.